Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown once again. How is everyone tonight? I am broadcasting simultaneously on Bumble and Utizzle, and I appreciate everybody that shows up tonight. I was a wiseacre with a friend of mine last night. They texted me and said there's sleeper cells, Iranian sleeper cells in America. And I sent them this old meme back, you don't say. So I figured, well, I'll make it my screenshot. But anyway, we got a lot to talk about. The differences between the foreign policy of the past and the present. So I do have some videos lined up that I think you all will enjoy. Wow, folks are getting into the studio, getting into the live chat. And if you're not subscribed, why not? Why don't you go ahead and subscribe so you can join us? But anyway, I'll play these videos while everybody gets themselves settled in so we can have a good talk about what the momentous events that we're witnessing.
They castrated that 1 million white Europeans were taken from Britain and southern Europe by Barbary pirates and sold into slavery in Africa. I think the transatlantic slave trade is thought to be up to 11 million, and a much larger number, perhaps 18 million, were taken east from Africa in the Arab slave trade, which ran much longer.
Interesting.
And you know why we don't hear anything about it?
I haven't heard it.
Because it was actually genocidal. They castrated all of the men.
Because I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
Kind of a very specific element of a kind of a criminal code is quite unusual. The Constitution specifically defines what treason is, which is making war against the United States or giving aid and comfort to our enemies, and it actually has a procedural element that treason has to be proven by the statements of two witnesses to an overt act or a confession. And so it is interesting the Constitution gives that much detail to treason. It is an unusual provision of the Constitution that it defines specific crime. Normally, in this area, the Constitution either gives power, say, to Congress to pass laws, including to define crimes, or denies certain powers to Congress or to the President or the judiciary. This kind of a very specific element of a kind of a criminal code is quite unusual. I think it's because treason is a unique crime. It is the crime that is most a crime against the state. And I think there may have been some concern that in English history, and a lot of the Constitution was written against the background of English history, treason may have been abused as a way of getting at the king's enemies. And so I think the special requirements of proof and the specific definition of treason about making war against the country, giving aid and comfort to the enemy, I think was a way of narrowing the definition of what treason is.
When you use intel agencies and law enforcement to illegally go after your political opponents for non-crimes, that is the definition of a conspiracy against rights, a very serious federal civil rights felony under 18 U.S.C. Section 241. And so I would say to all of those people you just named and many, many others, lawyer up, because there's a new sheriff in town at the Justice Department in the name of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and many others. And I am going to push very hard, very publicly, for them to open a federal criminal probe under 18 U.S.C.
How is it not already open?
Maybe it is.
But I am telling you right now, that mother back there is not real.
The storm zone.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm they're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
And he's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Now think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give President tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's
political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and HE in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn, and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
Hi, folks. How is everyone tonight? I hope you're doing well. I played that first video. How do you like my Sun Tzu with Mr. T? I might do it. I might not do it. I might have done it already. Nobody knows. Trump Zoo. So, yeah, I played that first video because the big strike was yesterday, right? The big strike. You know, that was an anniversary. An anniversary of our wonderful Marine Corps. Hello, Lucky. How you doing? Angel, nice to see you. Robin, Sissy, let's see. Whoa. Kathy, jet lag. Whiskey, Pappy Two Bears. Kim, Angela. Debbie's here. All right. You've been looking forward to it. Thank you, Angela. That's good to hear. We've got Angela and Angel. All right. Debbie's here. She's waiting. We got Debbie. Yeah. All right. Benjamin's here. Rain. Annette. Nice to see you. Marie. Good. Everybody's getting in. Everybody's filing in. And Jackie, nice to meet you. Or see you, I mean. I know I've already met you. It's always nice to see you. Darla's here. Gloria's here. All right. We'll get down to business. Let me put this meme up. I had this in my quiver, but I didn't get a chance to put it up. Boy, I tell you what, I'm glad I got this wonderful audience, like-minded people, because you're my witnesses. You're my witnesses. When I say something, and then boop, something happens. If nobody's there to hear me say it, did I ever say it? Does it matter? My last broadcast for Friday, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he does it right during my broadcast right now. I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he does it tomorrow. Did I not say that? Did I not bring up the earthquake that hit Iran? Did I not show the mountain being blown up? Did I not show you that silent, very large plane sliding through the sky in broad daylight over the skies of Iran? Didn't I say something was up? But, of course, Mr. T said, I'm going to Bedminster and play a little golf. Give them time. Yeah, well, when American lives are in harm's way, yes, you can use deception as a military tactic. So, but it didn't surprise me one bit. And then we got this photograph from the Situation Room yesterday. And of course, you know, be careful in the chats. Be careful in the chats. Be creative. Don't just plop a letter in there. I love my viewers. I appreciate my viewers. But for years, I tell people to be careful in the comments and in the chats. I put this up on my community posts. They just call them posts now for my community. I don't know how many people showed up there. If you don't give me a thumbs up on my community post or comment, I have no idea whether you looked at it or not. But this is an official photograph taken by Dan Scavino. I have a couple of videos he dropped. And also some Mr. T put up. But, hi, Miss Bender Sue. How you doing? Nice to see you. Let's see. Who else here? Flannel Cheese. Wayne. Nice to see you. What do you see in the picture, my friends? What do you see in the picture? Be creative. Be creative. With how you express yourself. Yes, I had a lot of people say, well, I see a weary president. I see a president who's tired of putting up with all this crapola from the weirdos at home and the weirdos and psychos abroad. Yeah, that's true. But he's the ever-ready bunny. I mean, he just keeps on going. Ha-ha, C-U-E, Mr. Bender Sue says. Ha-ha, WW2 fans having a barbecue. Well, it's golden. It's golden. And it's right in the center of his laptop. And it's undeniable proof. Undeniable. It is, and just as Kim said, it's an alphabet letter. I'm shocked, not by my audience, but people in Truth Social, how few got it. But that's okay. That's okay, because future will prove past. Future will prove past, but there it is, as big. You think in something as top of the line and organized and photographs that are going to go down in history, do you think they would have just a cord piled up on the table? Direct center? Of course not. Of course not. It's not like they get there and throw wires around and get all crazy. No, this picture took a little bit of time to set up. And it's to let everyone know that it's real, that what we're dealing with, the patience, the patriotism, the attempts to red bill our friends, wake them up. It's not just some kind of talk. It's reality, and we're living reality. Biblical times. And you can't get much more biblical than what's going on. The fear-mongering's starting up now about sleeper cells. Who do we have to thank for sleeper cells? I almost erased this picture because it disgusts me. But it reminds me of a disgusting time in American history. And I said, well, I shouldn't erase it because I need it. And I was looking through and I said, wait a minute, I didn't erase it. I still have it. Let me find it. It's a picture of somebody who shouldn't ever have been in the position to pose for such a photo. Where is it? I'll find it. If I don't find it right this minute, I'll find it coming up somewhere down the line. Why do we have sleeper cells? Why do we have, can we thank the auto pen cabal and their tactics of just throwing the doors open to this country and letting any Nimrod walk through the door? And that Nimrod is a biblical term. Nimrod wanted to build the Tower of Babel. Everybody spoke the same language. Everybody was in agreement on stuff. Everybody, what did they do with all their energy and time? They tried to build something to go up high enough where Nimrod could shoot an arrow. A challenge to the heavens and God. I'll shoot an arrow. That's how they spent their time. Being rebellious. What did God do? Made the tower fall. Gave us all our own languages, our own cultures, and spread them abroad. Each shall have their own nation. So what are they trying to do now, especially with these free phones and the interwebs? Trying to break those cultures down. Anyway, here's a picture that disgusts me. What do the liberals do? This is a teacher, supposedly, all upset over Trump. Said, I had to hit my fourth graders with one of these today. And showed a picture of Obama. What disgusts me is he's even in that office. But it looks like a Red Roof Inn with the curtains, okay? A cheap hotel. Look at those cheap chairs. But then he's got his rear end hoisted up on the Resolute desk like a child. But it's supposed to be a pensive look. And this teacher's, this is the president we used to have. He didn't get us in these kind of wars, children. Well, somebody named Paul Renfro answered, what? A drone strike? Yeah. Yeah, what are the liberals hollering about now? They're hollering, how come? Where's Congress? He can't do this. We need to be impeached. Oh, it leaves their little pea brains about when, here it is, Midas Trash Network. At 9/11 again, Iran hadn't even been doing what it's accused of. Now you'll get a state terror event, more war, more military presence domestically, more repression. Worst of all, more than fear, 4 years of it once the war continues. Who knows if that person's even in this country or not? Some operative. Here's another one. What happened to the process of getting approval to attack another country that's done nothing wrong with you? Wow, what's next? Done nothing wrong with you. These narratives, these lies, these slanders. It's called, in many cases, BLOOD, libel. The main lies, like global warming, stay home, stay safe, due process for everyone on our soil, free lawyers for everyone on our soil. You can't send jets over to strike a nuclear site to a nice country like Iran. You have to go to Congress first. Well, look at some of the clowns that are commented on that. So you're okay with Iran having nukes? Yeah, that's a normal guy asking the question. What's the matter with you people? What do they answer? What are they? Lemmings. They've been moved. They still have them. They don't have any yet. And all their allies have them. Another argument here. Well, if Israel can have nukes, why can't Iran have nukes? Insane. These people are insane. And they're misguided by people who should know better, people that have law degrees, people who have taken an oath to our country, like this thing right here did. Sitting on it. Got his, look at that. Disgusting. Yeah. Nobody said a word when he said a drone strike over to kill an American citizen. What was he, 18 years old? Nobody said a peep. Nobody said a word. But no, Trump does something to take out a menace. To borrow from Ronald Reagan, mad dog of the Middle East. The mad dog of the Middle East, that was Gaddafi. Gaddafi got the hint and stopped. Stopped till he tried to have gold as his currency. Then they decided they didn't want him around anymore. Isn't that something how that works out? Bathhouse Berry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, plus the money he gave them. Well, they're hollering about impeaching Trump. This clown gets out. Should not even be on our soil. Mahmoud Khalil, look who's sitting next to him. Insanio Occasional Cortex. Is that her name? Insanio Occasional Cortex? I think that's it. But anyway, yeah. You listen, you know, it's really not worth listening to, but he gives a little press briefing. I will stand by for my beliefs, no matter if they try to, and he said K-I-L-L me. Like they're trying to K-I-L-L him, and he's going to stand here for his rights with that dish rag around his shoulders. Here we are competing with dual citizenship, people in the House of Representatives and the Senate, in the military. We got to compete at the ballot box with people who have dual citizenship with Somalia, I don't know, Cameroon and Ukraine and wherever else. What's that in the background smoking? Oh, I wonder. So no, I'm not surprised. Nobody should be surprised. There's sleeper cells Iran can call on. They're not just in the streets. They're in the Justice Department. They're in the Congress. They're in the judiciary. Of course, we have to worry about the ones cooking something up in their sink that they can put in a pressure cooker like the Boston BOMBER. But then we got the ones right under our noses. Here he is right here. They want to make fun of Trump. What the hell did Obama ever do? But be a subversive. And for new people tuning in right here, yes, Trump did put this up. We know. We know who sent the money over there. I want to go in some manner of order with events as they occurred yesterday. Iran sent a message, supposedly, that they wanted to go back. They communicated to Trump that they wanted to go back to the same, I guess, playing field or terms of their 2015 agreement. That was the message they sent Trump. And I think that was when Trump said, well, yeah, we're going to go ahead and blow this thing up. They're jerking me around. Right here it is. Tehran, this was yesterday, early. Tehran is ready to resolve the nuclear dispute through negotiations, as in 2015, said Iranian Foreign Minister Aragachi, or whatever, however you pronounce his name. Did you notice when Trump was leaving for Bedminster, he told reporters, "We got to go. You're in danger right now." He said it multiple times. And that's not the first time he ever said that. Not the first time. I showed this to a friend of mine who's just getting into this business. What I showed you all the other night. But I highlighted stuff for Iran, regime change. 7 years, almost to the day. But when I started the broadcast, I mentioned something, an anniversary. And I think it's telling, and I think it was just to honor, not for any sorcery purposes or symbolism like the Cabal uses. They use symbolism for sorcery. We use symbolism to honor and to remember. Today, if you're American Military Network, you might want to check them out on UTizzle. This was yesterday, of course, June 21st, 1803. U.S. Navy slams the Barbary pirates. On this day in 1803, the U.S. Navy flexed its muscle in one of its first overseas fights, just off the coast of Tripoli, to the shores of Tripoli. The frigate John Adams and the schooner Enterprise, Spock, spotted a 22-gun Tripotolian, how do you say that? Warship, part of the private fleet, shaking down American merchant ships for tribute. The pirates fired. The Americans answered, fast and furious. For 45 blistering minutes, the American guns roared. When the smoke cleared, the Tripolitan ship was abandoned, burned, and broken. Not a single American sailor was lost. It was a shot across the bow of pirate kingdoms and an opening act of a war that would make legends. And they go on, but they have a couple of pictures. Because soon they wouldn't just face U.S. warships, they'd face the wrath of the United States Marine Corps, bayonets fixed, storming the shores of Derna. Remember, I said U.S. Marines. I brought up that song before. And the Barbary pirates would learn what it means to mess with the devil dogs. This battle marked a turning point. America was done paying pirates. From this point forward, we brought the fight to them with cannon, courage, and the stars and stripes flying high. So, as you can see, for more hard-hitting military history and stories, absolute American legends, follow American Military Network. But they have a couple of tribute photos if you want to go look at their page and check them out. I grabbed a few screenshots for ye. But let me ask you, and please answer. Here we are again. Here we are. Trump honored our soldiers with a parade. The left makes fun of them. They say he should be impeached for doing a military action. He does the military action on the anniversary of the first time a president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, decided he wasn't going to take any more crap. And that's why I played the first video. I want to ask you in the chats, well, I'm going to replay that video very quickly, about the slaves. 11 million estimated slaves, many from Arabic states. And that is the Iranian Caliphate's desire, is to restore their supremacy. Don't forget, the Muslims took over almost more than half of Europe. My question is, has anybody else, anywhere have you heard, not did you know, did you hear in the mainstream media or any other person on social media tell you that this strike happened on the anniversary of the Jefferson action? Yes or no? Let me know in the chats. And that way I know if you're paying attention to me or not. 11 million slaves. They will talk about reparations and, oh, we're the only ones that suffered. Are you really? Are you really the only ones that suffered? Who should give us reparations for that?
They cast that 1 million white Europeans were taken from Britain and southern Europe by Barbary pirates and sold into slavery in Africa. I think the transatlantic slave trade is thought to be up to 11 million, and a much larger number, perhaps 18 million, were taken east from Africa in the Arab slave trade, which ran much longer.
Interesting.
And you know why we don't hear anything about it?
I haven't heard
because it was actually genocidal. They castrated all of the men.
Not just slavery, but genocidal. Genocidal actions. So, of course, the president can dispatch military assets to remove that kind of a threat, that kind of abuse. Hi, Wayne, how you doing? I see a lot of no's. Hi, Sparky. No's across the board. WW2 fan, how you doing? So, no, you haven't heard. But Trump did it for a reason. Now you got clowns like Thomas Massey going on Deface the Nation, saying, well, it's clear in our Constitution that he's supposed to go before Congress to get permission. We should debate this stuff. Bull, B-U-L-L, okay? He's wrong. He's either ignorant or he's knowingly misleading people. Thomas Jefferson helped write the damn Constitution. 1803, he took this action. Trump did it on that day. So a halfway intelligent person could look at this history and this story and say, we're doing the right thing. We're not dealing with a Congress that's infested with dual citizens from Somalia and from Palestine or wherever. Should America go defend themselves against, I don't know. No, we have to clean that out. We have to, no dual citizenship in a position of public trust, where they have to take an oath to our Constitution because their loyalties are divided. And that's why I played that other video, Debbie, about treason, right? Watch somebody type in the chat. It's bigger than life after I go through the trouble of stuttering through it. That's what really burns me up. I went through the trouble. My last video, and several videos before when I lost my temper and was not my normal jovial self and blew a cork because people were criticizing the man in the arena. And I said, I'm going to find that video and I'm going to play it. And I said, I went further and said, please pay attention to this video, please, and think about it before you criticize people. Because people are calling Trump a puppet of the Jewish state. He's part of the cabal. Just sickening. Sure enough, in the comments, they need to get off their rear ends and start arresting people. A worldwide, the most dangerous beast we've ever come across. But anyway, to them, I'll play this video right here. To all the creeps in Congress with dual loyalties, everybody that's got a problem with this country, Donald Trump is about to drop the ultimate truth on the fake news.
I just want to tell you that America is the greatest place on earth. The greatest place on earth. Thank you very much.
How about that, fake news? Fake news. How about that? Anyway, so they wanted to go back to 2015 and Barack Hussein Obama, which Trump rightfully called a disgusting agreement. Something that gave them a timetable that would expire when they would be free to do whatever the hell they wanted. Whatever the hell they wanted. You couple that idiotic agreement with the money Hussein Obama sent over there, and it doesn't take a brain surgeon to see what's going on. Anyway. But, you know, we don't have a lot of brain surgeons. Ben Carson, that's about it. Things were starting off pretty wild yesterday. Seems like a week ago. Massive U.S. Air Force buildup at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. There they have a satellite photo. Prince Sultan, remember that, folks. Remember Prince Sultan Air Base. 22 tankers. 53 probable F-16s. See, they don't know exactly probable F-16s. Maybe they were F-22s. Do you know or do you not know? 10 C-130 aircraft. Some of the planes are hidden in shelters. Oh, what's hidden in the shelter? And new arrivals in the past 24 hours are not pictured here. Oh, what arrived in the last 24 hours? Don't know, do you? I'm saying those things for a reason. Oh, here's part of the diversion. American B-2 stealth bombers apparently took off from their base in Missouri. Apparently. Okay. 8 tankers are in the air, refueling over Kansas and heading in the same direction. Oh, what else is going on? Observers that report that a U.S. Air Force plane, call sign Nitro 61, was spotted refueling. Nitro 71 is the next cell of tankers. As observers noted, the B-2s need to refuel shortly after takeoff. Thus, the bombers must be carrying something heavy, likely the aforementioned bunker-busting bombs. So, the Pentagon knows that these fly-by-night observers and tacticians are aware that the B-2 can't take off with a full fuel tank plus a heavy payload. If you have a heavy payload, you take off, and then while you're in the air, you get fueled up because you don't have to exert that much thrust and put the stress on the plane that it was not designed to take to get airborne. But once you're airborne, you can take on the fuel. Don't think they didn't calculate that in their little intel dance. Russia this is yesterday now, sent a signal to the United States calling on it to refrain from striking Iran. The U.S. Israeli television channel Kansas 11 reported. Liberals are looking at this picture. Oh, he's a Putin puppet. Blah, blah, blah. According to sources involved in contacts between Moscow and Washington, this is not a threat, but an attempt to dissuade President Donald Trump from making a decision to attack. Sources also said Trump may ultimately refuse to engage in military action against Iran and will continue to rely on diplomatic channels. Oh, that's the stuff that was going around. Now, these are in sequential order. So we have the action going on and the communiques from Russia. What's this? Oh, something smoky going on there. Something smoky with some domes. You know, them domes they got. The Israeli Air Force carried out airstrikes near the Khomeini Shrine in Tehran. What? The graves of Ayatollah Khomeini, his wife, son, and other prominent local figures are located here. Well, they're getting bombed. So the Iranians were looking over their shoulders. Iran was talking to Trump. Planes were being fueled up for long trips. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini has prepared 3 successors in case of an assassination attempt, the New York Times reported, citing 3 Iranian sources. According to them, Khomeini is currently holed up in a bunker, communicating with his commanders through a trusted aide and delaying his emails to make it harder to detect him. We know where you are. Okay? It doesn't matter. Khomeini is said to have named 3 senior clerics as candidates to replace him and has also selected successors in his military chain of command in case additional senior officials are eliminated. In case, it's a given. You're out of here. You step up, pop. You're gone. Like this right here. Don't forget, the one who held hostages back in 1979 and became the Iranian president, Ahmadinejad, or whatever name, I showed his picture. They said, well, we think he may have been eliminated. We're not sure. I think he has, but if he wasn't then, he is now. Well, who's this guy? See how they are. They're praying while they got their AK-47. Now, that, folks, is an AK-47, okay? Not the little pea shooters they're always hollering about. That's an AK-47. Iranian sources and sources affiliated with the Axis claim the famous Abu Ali Khalil, known as the protector of al-Sayed, who was Hassan Nasrallah's. He's gone. He's vaporized. He's pink spatter. Close bodyguard. Well, you did a good job. And responsible for Nasrallah's tomb complex. Was exited along with his son in an Israeli attack on a sensitive site in Tehran. A sensitive site. This is all before the big strike. This was yesterday. Yesterday. My. What a busy day yesterday was. Iran officials tell Reuters, if we have to choose between stopping uranium enrichment and war, we choose war. Okay. Well, Reuters, you better document who said that yesterday at lunchtime. Lunchtime yesterday. Kuwait evacuates its citizens from Iran. Oh, lunchtime. Yemen to strike all U.S. military and commercial vessels in the Red Sea and Bab el-Mandeb Strait if U.S. starts war with Iran. Yemeni Houthi spokesman Yahya Sari. Oh, I think they're going to change their tune because they've already been slapped sillier than they are. What's this? Oh, we got a circle. They're using circles now instead of red X's, I guess. There's someone. Who are you? Who were you? Iranian sources. Ali Bakoy Kathrimi, a senior Iranian nuclear scientist, lost his life in an Israeli attack along with his wife and 2 children and a bodyguard assigned to him by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Boy, who wouldn't want to be moving? Somebody knocks on your door. We got a promotion here. You're getting promoted. Good news. Be real quiet. Don't answer the door. Let's see. Javier Milei comes out and says Iran is an enemy of Argentina. Israel is saving Western civilization. El Presidente of Argentina. What's this? A tanker plane and a B-2? That's what it looks like. The U.S. is currently moving all airworthy B-2 stealth bombers currently not under maintenance to bases near Iran this morning. Most are currently flying over the Pacific. What's this? Smoke and mirrors. Donald Trump's 2-week deadline term is a deception tactic to lull Iranian leaders into believing that Trump hasn't decided to join Israel in bombing them yet. I'm getting a notification on my phone. Several Israeli military sources told CNN they believe Trump's talk of waiting for a change in attitude to keep Tehran from Tehran is, quote, smoke and mirrors, to keep the Iranians guessing as to when the attack may come. Who would say that? Who would say that? They don't credit anybody. Sources, anonymous sources, Israeli officials who spoke with CNN. Israeli officials who spoke with CNN. That's what it says. Why would Israeli officials... Is CNN telling the truth? Why would Israelis do that? After the strike. This is the message they're putting out now. Iran estimates that the majority of centrifuges and underground cascade halls at Fordo are intact, according to preliminary damage assessment. However, this could not be fully determined until Iranian personnel approached the Fordo facility in person. Well, I know I jumped from the before to the response after, and I'm doing it for a reason. They're making the threats to shut down the Straits of Hormuz, to attack military bases and U.S. personnel, blah, 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 on and on. That would be a total disaster for them. So the claim will be, they didn't hurt us that bad. They failed. As a matter of fact, they're going to put it out as an American failure. That means we're the winner to get out of heaven, to do an action that is going to cause them destruction. So, read the words. Iran estimates that the majority of centrifuges are intact. Oh, that's like saying the majority of my tire is round, like the Three Stooges. It's only flat on one side. Get what I'm saying? How do they know that? They can't even approach the site. What if Trump tells them, look, that's off limits. We see anything moving around there, it's going to get disintegrated. Stay away from there. Since you're saying you still have all this nuclear material that you're not supposed to have, and you said you didn't have, well, if you go up there trying to root around and get it, we'll disintegrate you. But they got to get out of it somehow, because if they look too weak, there will be regime change. There will be regime change. Here is a journalist from overseas wrote this. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Iran's strikes on Israel continue in the very near future and perhaps even intensify, so they don't rejoice too much. And Trump can say, with a clear conscience, I did my job. I left a hooligan without a nuclear rattle, and everyone is happy. Unless, of course, the Iranians, this is a curious paragraph. What do you all think of this paragraph? Unless, of course, the Iranians decide to give the United States a response that the latter will not be able to swallow, like in January 2020. Now, this was right after the strike. This analyst, journalistic analyst, is doing what I was just doing. I was saying how they're going to, I'm speculating that they're going to say it was a failure to save face, to not look weak, and not put forth a opposition or a response that will get them really thumped. Now, this journalist is saying his opinion is that Iran's going to take it easy on Israel, or turn up the heat on Israel, and Trump can say, I did my job, I'm out. What do they mean by the U.S. getting a response like in January 2020 that we won't be able to swallow? What are they talking about? I'll get your thoughts on that. But we're going to see some sleight of hand. I have a video, speaking of the Strait of Hormuz. Where is it? Here we go. All tanker activity on the 13th of June in the Strait of Hormuz. Just to give you an idea. Make sure I got all that in the picture. Just to give you an idea of what things are like in the Strait of Hormuz on a given day. Yeah, that lets you know it's a very busy port. I put economic catastrophe with a question mark in my thumbnail. The biggest catastrophe economically would be for Iran if they closed that down. Hi, Graybeard. Did he move? No, he put 2020, January. Yeah, and that's just, you're right. Yeah, saving face. Trying to save face. Is this one of the operatives? A sleeper cell right here? Because if it is, they got to work on their training. Okay? I don't know if it's an operative or just a regular old moron protesting. Ha ha ha, whoopsie. Yeah, you got to do a little better on your training. Ha 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 ha. He was throwing gasoline around and didn't realize you don't get it on you and then light it. Here we go with the Strait of Hormuz again. What is this? Let's see. Multiple Iranian ships are moving directly into the lane of the Strait of Hormuz. Most of these ships are not classified as cargo, fishing, passenger, etc. They are troublemakers. Yeah, I wouldn't. The biggest loser in closing the Strait of Hormuz will be Iran. J.P. Morgan, a closure of the Strait of Hormuz could send oil prices $100 to $130 a barrel. This would imply a spike in U.S. consumer price index inflation to 5%. The last time we saw U.S. inflation at 5% was in March of 2023, the auto pen cabal, when the Fed was aggressively hiking rates. Well, wait a minute. Look at that mountain there from 2021, skyrocketing upward and then coming down just as Donald Trump's coming into office. So we went through half of 21, 22, 23, all the way up midway to 2024. Look at the inflation. But they're saying it's going to go up to that point you see the arrow at. But now they're saying 200 a barrel. So who's right? They don't know. They don't know. Trump's opening up oil, drill baby drill, taking off restriction on coal, which is all energy. I can't make heads or tails of these. These are before and after of the sites. You see the holes where the bombs penetrated down, one after the other. Clear images. The mop. Mother of all penetration bombs hits on Iran's Fordow nuclear facility. Very precise landings of 3 munitions in 2 places are visible. It should be noted that 12 of these aerial bombs were reported to have been used. So either the strikes were literally crater to crater, which is unlikely, or the remaining ammunition was used for other purposes. Here we go. Saving face. Iran's nuclear program not destroyed after U.S. and Israeli strikes, Israeli president says. But wait a minute. Is that what he's saying? Why do people, I'm sure this journalist means well. He said, I can't say that it was destroyed, but I can say it was dealt a heavy blow as a result of both the Israeli attacks and the American attack. Mr. Reporter and all the fake news, that doesn't mean it was not destroyed. He says, I can't say that it was destroyed. People hear what they want to hear. Iranian parliament supports closing the Strait of Hormuz. The final decision rests with Iran's National Security Council. The Strait of Hormuz is a channel for delivery of all good, blah, blah, blah. An alternative could be in the pipelines, which not all countries in the region have access to. You know who's really going to suffer from that is Iraq. They're practically, I think they are landlocked. Tehran has rejected Washington's proposal on Iran's civilian nuclear program, Rubio told Fox News. This was post-strike. The United States has called on China to persuade Iran not to close the Strait of Hormuz. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said China would suffer greatly too, stressing that a possible blockade of the strait would be a serious escalation. If Iran decides to close the Strait of Hormuz, it will be a major escalation of the conflict and will entail a response from the United States, Rubio said. Speaking of Marco Rubio, he went on Deface the Nation, and listen to him here. He's going to ask her a question. She's not going to answer. But listen to her trying to set a narrative that her handlers are giving her. And Rubio's having none of it.
Up on a phrase you just word, weaponization ambitions. Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I see that question being asked in the media. That's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is
everything
the
they
key
need to build
point
a weapon.
in U.S. intelligence assessments. You know
no,
that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's
that
not.
The political decision had not been made.
I know that better than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But I'm asking you whether the order was given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons. Because they can quickly make it 90. They have all the elements. They have. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No, they're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but
so
that's a question. That's a question of intent. And you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold state and use this leverage. I'm talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from March.
But that's also an inaccurate
representation
of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Now, forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%?
Right.
If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon.
Right.
Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms, they have the enrichment capability, they have the highly enriched uranium that is stored.
Yes.
That's all we need to see.
Right. Well,
especially in the hands of a regime.
Yeah, the headlines will be, Rubio said, forget the intelligence. Forget the intelligence. No, he was telling her to forget it because she didn't know what she was talking about. And he asked her, where'd you hear that? How did you hear that? Where'd you hear that from? She never answered it. Who's giving you this BS talking points? We want to know. Here he is again, some more on deface the nation. I'm not sure what they talked about in this clip, but I got it for a reason.
The president wants to resolve this diplomatically and peacefully. He gave them a chance to do that. They delayed. They had all these kind of delay tactics. They wouldn't even meet with us directly. We had to go through third countries. This is very simple. Let's meet directly. Let's work on agreements that are good for Iran and good for the Iranian people in particular, good for the safety and security of the world and the United States. That's always been our preference. That continues to be our preference.
Yeah. But they want to play hardball, and they're playing hardball. Hi, Greg, how you doing? Stanton, how you doing? Bambi, nice to see you. Welcome aboard. So anyway, Rubio is getting the talking points out on the big channels. He did go on Maria Bartiromo, too. Here. Now, I could stomach watching Maria a lot better than I can that whatever that thing is on Deface the Nation. Maria, she'll ask some tough questions too, but she doesn't play that stupid counterintelligence fake news crap.
There is no country in the world that can do what the United States did last night through our incredible military led by our commander-in-chief. And I think a lot of credit goes out to Pete Hegseth, our defense secretary, did a phenomenal job of managing this process. And obviously all the way down to the airmen and others who conducted this operation. It was flawless. It was perfect. It was executed with extraordinary skill. And I think demonstrates the capabilities we have, which no other country in the world has anything remotely close to this. Ultimately, when we do these things, it's because we care about the safety and security of our troops, of our airmen, and all those who are supporting these missions. So, obviously, the element of surprise is important in military tactics. In this particular, now, I don't think the Iranians or anyone should have been under any mystery. The president said very clearly, we have 60 days to make progress on a deal, and if we don't, I'm going to deal with it differently. But in terms of what people call deception and surprise and things of this nature, the core of that is not the success. The mission was going to be successful no matter what. The core of that was protecting our servicemen and women who are in harm's way and conducting that mission. That's the most important part. And they went in, they did what they needed to do with precision and skill that no other military in the world can do. And they left. And they were well outside of Iranian airspace before the regime even realized what had happened. And that was the goal here, and that was achieved. These planes came from halfway across the world, and no one saw them coming. And that's a huge credit to Pete Hegseth and General Kane and General Kurilla and obviously our commander-in-chief for pulling that objective. Our objective was to severely degrade and or destroy 3 nuclear sites inside of Iran. One of them had 60% enriched uranium. 60%. Remember, you only need like 3.67% for a nuclear power plant. You only need 20% enriched, very small quantities for like medical isotopes and that kind of thing. The only countries in the world that have anything close to 60% enriched uranium are countries that have nuclear weapons. They have stored 60% enriched uranium in one facility there called Esfahan. They were threatening to create even more of it. And then they had all these centrifuges that were capable of enriching up to weapons grade at 90% buried in mountains. I know, but it's all for peaceful purposes. Give me a break. Everybody gets it. Unfortunately, they've been able to get away with that game for a long time. Those were the objectives last night. We hit 3 nuclear-related sites controlled by the Iranian regime. And now what happens next will depend on what Iran does next and the regime does next. If they attack us, it would be a terrible mistake on their part. There are they are completely vulnerable. They don't control their own airspace. They can't protect their own airspace. They can't even protect their own leaders. So I think it would be a big mistake if they did anything against us. But look, they'll have to make that decision, and the president will respond accordingly and decisively. But no one, after last night, should be under any illusions. When Donald Trump says he's going to do something, when the president says this president says he's going to do something, he's not just wasting words. He means it.
That's right. He means it. He says what he means what he says. Just that simple. Yeah, Rain says hit the like button. I appreciate that, Rain. I keep forgetting to ask people to hit the like button. And, refresh your screen because I think it's about up to 130. So anyway, folks, what am I going to play next year? Got a lot more to play, but I want to thank Mike and Bev for going by buy me a coffee. We're going to start off the last week of the month. Pretty good, I hope. I had the folks who helped me out, K&S Cleanup, Mike Belfa helped last week too, Pappy Two Bears, Wayne, and Whiskey. Yeah, appreciate y'all stop by me a coffee. I got a link in the description. I am a totally viewer-supported channel. And I have a link. Oh, here's a video Trump put up of the B-52 returning, one of them. I'll give you my thoughts on this whole operation. I don't think I'll do it tonight totally, but anyway, I got a link in the description if anybody wants to help an old man out. But anyway, here's Donald Trump. The damage to nuclear sites in Iran is said to be monumental. The hits were hard and accurate. Great skill was shown by our military. Thank Well, that's some beefy landing gear, man. Look at that landing gear. Looks like Batman coming in for a landing. If I had my clip of Trump saying, "I am Batman." I am Batman. So anyway, here, speaking of Hegseth, I got a clip from him. I think Dan Scavino put this clip up of Hegseth. I like it when Dan Scavino puts up clips. It either means something to him or something we need to be paying attention to, because he's there for all this stuff.
Our B-2s went in and out of downtown Tehran, of these nuclear sites, in and out and back without the world knowing at all. In that way, it was historic. A strike that included the longest B-2 Spirit bomber mission since 2001 and the first operational employment of the MOP, a massive ordnance penetrator.
Massive ordnance penetrator. I call it the mother of all penetrator. So, anyway. All right. Here we got J.D. Vance. I got two clips of him. And it looks like this one here, she's usually a big pain in the NBC. Oh, my God. But at least they're behaving, partly behaving. I got two clips of him.
My message to the Iranians is it would be the stupidest thing in the world if they did. If you look at what happened last night, we had an incredibly targeted, precise, surgical strike on the nuclear facilities that are the target of the American operation. Our national interest is for Iran to not get a nuclear weapon. Our strikes last night facilitated that national objective. If the Iranians want to enlarge this by attacking American troops, I think that would be a catastrophic mistake. And as the president said last night, the Iranians would be met with then overwhelming force beyond that. So this is a very delicate moment, Kristen. I don't want to pretend that it's not. But I think the Iranians, if they're smart, they're going to have to look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe we're not so good at this war thing. Let's give peace a chance. Let's drop our nuclear weapons program and start to make some smarter decisions. We're, of course, hoping that's exactly what the Iranians do.
Yeah, the left is putting out memes of Tojo from Japan in World War II. And making fun, saying, okay, now that we bombed Pearl Harbor, let's talk peace. Making fun of Trump. Well, big difference between the Japan and the United States. But anyway, here's the second clip.
What we've said to the Iranians is we do not want war with Iran. We actually want peace. But we want peace in the context of them not having a nuclear weapons program. And that's exactly what the president accomplished last night. I really think there are two big questions for the Iranians here. Are they going to attack American troops, or are they going to continue with their nuclear weapons program? And if they leave American troops out of it and they decide to give up their nuclear weapons program once and for all, then I think the president has been very clear. We can have a good relationship with the Iranians. We can have a peaceful situation in that region of the world. We have to step back a little bit, Kristen, and remind ourselves that we negotiated aggressively with the Iranians to try to find a peaceful settlement to this conflict. It was only when the president decided that the Iranians were not negotiating in good faith that he took this action. He didn't take it lightly, but I actually think it provides an opportunity to reset this relationship, reset these negotiations, and get us in a place where Iran can decide not to be a threat to its neighbors, not to be a threat to the United States. And if they're willing to do that, the United States is all ears.
Yeah, I should have my little Ross Pro clip. I'm all ears. But yeah, she's having to keep her mouth shut, Miss Minister. Kristen Welker, is that her name? I don't know what her name is, but anyway, Thomas Massie. He's running his mouth. Here's the Ruskies. They put up Trump's post, which I'll read in a minute. And Thomas Massie not getting any money from AirPac. Trump going against Thomas Massie because, unlike 99% of U.S. politicians, he is not compromised by Israeli lobbies. Who knows? Who knows about Israeli lobbies? All I know is that I'm down with what Mr. T is saying, is that he is a nuisance, a pain in the rear end, a grandstander. Whoa, how come that's not showing up? Wait a second. What's Trump calling him? A grandstander? Here we go. This format is better to read. Congressman Thomas Massie. Okay. He was on Deface the Nation. I already said how he's talking about the Constitution requires this and the Constitution doesn't know what he's talking about. Already compared it to Thomas Jefferson. Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky is not MAGA, even though he likes to say he is. Actually, MAGA doesn't want him, doesn't know him, and doesn't respect him. Well, that's true. He's a negative force who almost always votes, quote, no. No matter how good something is, something may be. He's a simple-minded grandstander who thinks it's good politics for Iran to have the highest level nuclear weapon, while at the same time yelling, death to America, at every chance they get. Iran has killed and maimed thousands of Americans and even took over the American embassy in Tehran under the Carter administration. We know that. We had a spectacular military success yesterday, taking a bomb right out of their hands. And they would use it if they could. But as usual, and despite all of the praise and accolades received, this lightweight congressman is against what was so brilliantly achieved last night in Iran. Massie is weak, ineffective, and votes no on virtually everything put before him. Rand Paul Jr., no matter how good something may be. He is disrespectful to our great military and all that they stand for, not even acknowledging their brilliance and bravery in yesterday's attack, which was a total and complete win. Massie should drop his fake act and start putting America first, but he doesn't know how to get there. He doesn't have a clue. He'll undoubtedly vote against the great, big, beautiful bill, even though non-passage means a 68% tax increase for everybody and many things far worse than that. MAGA should drop this pathetic loser, Tom Massie, like the plague. The good news is that we will have a wonderful American patriot running against him in the Republican Party. And I'll be out in Kentucky campaigning real hard. MAGA is not about lazy, grandstanding, non-productive politicians. I'll add ignorant after that Deface the Nation interview. But anyway, of which Thomas Massey is definitely one. Thank you to our incredible military for the amazing job they did last night. It was really special. Make America great again. Yeah, we're not just America. Trump, he had one he put out. He said, make Iran great again. I wonder if I got a copy of that one. Anyway, the fear-mongering starting. Here's this, Fetterman. He has put himself in the crosshairs. He's going totally against Hakeem Jeffries. That's almost as bad as voting for somebody named Obama. Donald Trump promised to bring peace to the Middle East. He's failed to deliver on that promise. What an idiot. The risk of war has now dramatically increased. Like they didn't have sleeper cells here for years, and they were just frothing at the mouth to get that bomb. And a delivery system. If they haven't already got a dirty one in this country. I pray for the safety of our troops in the region who have been put in harm's way. What an idiot. It's hard to stomach these things, these creatures. Fetterman, they're going to kick him out of the party. As I've long maintained, this was the correct move by POTUS. Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism and cannot have nuclear capabilities. I'm grateful for and salute the finest military in the world. That used to be your average Democrat from 30 years ago. Now they're all lunatics. They've lost their damn minds. What's this? Iranian foreign minister arrives in Moscow. Expects to discuss with Putin issues related to Israel and U.S. strikes on his country. Well, we'll see how that goes. Iran should dig up enriched uranium buried underground and distribute it to other countries, Rubio said. Now, this is from the East. You see a lot of clown faces and middle fingers and poo-poo signs and stuff like that. They have a different view. But what is your opinion, chat and comments of this? What do you make of this? What's going on here? There's some drones. Middle East Spectator. New. Iranian security forces arrested 3 members of Ukraine's intelligence services who were trying to attack a drone factory in Isfahan. What do you make of that, folks? Ukrainians attacking... No, Ukrainians attacking an Iranian drone facility. The Ukrainians are attacking the Iranians. So, yeah, well, I'll tell you why that is. Tehran has been selling their kamikaze drones and other drones to Ruski land. So all the Slava Ukraine people should be glad Trump is putting the Ajax to Tehran, because that's what Ukraine wants too. Israeli Foreign Minister Fawad Hussein said if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, the price of oil reached 200 to 300 barrels. So now they've doubled it. In one day, they doubled the estimates. Continuation of the conflict in the region and closure of the Strait of Hormuz could lead to serious economic shocks. In the event of military operations, oil prices could rise $200 to $300 a barrel. This could lead to increased inflation in European countries like UK and complete the process of oil exports complicate the process of oil exports for oil-producing countries. Well, very interesting. Like, that's not your bread and butter, too? That's your bread and butter, buddy. You all will do the most suffering. It's that simple. Oh, here. What do you make of this, folks? There's a rational person right there. He applied to be an ICE agent. What do you think's going to happen with this guy? We're going to have to put this in our memory banks to see what happens to this character.
What's up, guys? I just applied to be an ICE agent, and my plan is that any information I get on ICE raids, I'm going to report back to the Mexican community and, you know, just try to help you guys out. Also, every time a Mexican gets deported, I'm sneaking 2 Mexicans back into the United States. I'm just here to help. That's my plan. I will update you guys along the way. Thank you.
And the thing about it is, I don't think this is a spoof. I think they are really this damn stupid. They're this stupid. And this is why they're this stupid, right here. One of the reasons that was a Bernie bro, you can bet your bottom dollar on that, a little socialist, dried up runt. But this is what they listen to.
So we gotta figure out a way to stop ICE from what they are doing as soon as possible.
Okay, we got a sitting U.S. senator who has presided over this inflation, this debasing our currency, printing money and sending it overseas, slush funds for politicians, slush funds for foreign interests, slush funds for NGOs, and the working man's dollar shrinking every time they print money. But now he is actively calling for people to rise up and resist lawful authority of the United States. That's kind of like a rebellion, isn't it? I would say so. I would say so. Now, here's a fellow that I played yesterday who is doing a little bit better job. He is taking the bull by the horns, or trying to, being as Scott Jennings has been stuck over in Israel through all this stuff. I don't know when he'll be coming back. I hope soon. But he's doing a good job. He's on Fox News, communicating the White House position.
Start with this idea about the 2 weeks. There's been a lot of discussion about it. How do you read it?
I think that Donald Trump has never wavered from the ultimate objective, which is that the Iranian nuclear program has to end. It has to be dismantled. It has to be destroyed. The only question has been whether it's done militarily or whether it's done voluntarily. He gave them a 60-day deadline. They let the deadline pass, and so Israel began bombing on day 61. And now he is basically holding out. This is your last chance. The time for negotiation is over. There's not going to be any kind of deal. This is a question of whether Iran cries Amu, which is Persian for uncle, or and allows U.S. to come in and blow up Fordo from inside, or we do it from without, from the skies above with B-2 bombers. But I think there is zero chance that the Fordo nuclear facility survives this encounter with Iran.
Here's what President Trump's White House said yesterday about not looking for a ceasefire.
A ceasefire means like everything's going swimmingly, we'll take a little time off. It's not. We're not looking for a ceasefire. We're looking for a total, complete victory. Again, you know what the victory is. No nuclear weapon.
Mark, he's been consistent on that. We've shown that all week. Do you think that the suggestion that there is disgruntlement amongst the ranks of the Republican Party writ large are overblown or on target?
Oh, completely overblown. I mean, the idea that there's a schism in the Republican Party or that the Trump coalition is breaking up is completely absurd. The Reagan Institute is coming out with a new poll this weekend. I've seen the numbers in advance. 90% of self-described MAGA Republicans say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. 80% say that is vital to, that Israel's security is vital to our security. 64% support Israel bombing the nuclear facilities. There is absolutely no daylight between Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. What there are is a small, tiny, loud, but tiny cabal of Republican isolationists on Capitol Hill and in the commentariat who are completely disconnected from Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. The MAGA movement is absolutely behind Donald Trump. And he's in getting rid of this nuclear program.
This was hours before the strike. He had them all fooled, except me. I wasn't fooled. I said, I wouldn't surprise me one bit. They do it tonight. You all are my witness. You're my witness. You know, I went through all this stuff. I didn't even play Donald Trump's message to the nation. But take a look at this stuff. What is this? Washington must bear the consequences. Yemen. That's what Yemen put out. Houthis. Washington must bear the consequences. That was after the attack. Well, good luck to you, Yemen, because the Saudis can't stand you either. My thumbnail was going to be a picture of Khamenei and then put under there, nobody likes you. Here's a spoof email somebody put out last night at 8:05. Can we talk? Nobody likes you. Nobody in the Middle East cares about you. Like I said in my earlier broadcasts, even Hitler had a few friends. I had a map of the Middle East I was going to show you. The Strait of Hormuz. Where did that go? Here we go. This shows U.S. military bases. But there you see the red country, Iran. And at the bottom of Iran is the Strait of Hormuz. And this little crook right here in the center screen, across from Iran is the United Arab Emirates. And it's a little horseshoe right there. That's where they're talking about blocking it off. Iraq is landlocked. They're the ones that would suffer. They have no other way to get their stuff out. These air bases, Syria, Iraq, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Qatar. And then you have the Navy, the U.S. Navy 5th Fleet. So, yeah. None of these countries. Syria announces that anybody want to attack Iran, you can just fly over our airspace. They announced that day before yesterday. Kuwait can't stand them. Iraq and Iran have been at war multiple times. They can't stand them. None of these countries. And I'm looking here. Where is... oh, that's right. I said, remember that. Saudi Arabia. They don't show. a base. I know we have an air base in Saudi Arabia. I mentioned the name earlier in the broadcast. So, yeah, Iran would take a terrific pounding. And if they interrupted not only the countries you see being immediately affected right here with Strait of Hormuz, you got China does a lot of business through the Strait of Hormuz. They would have so many countries enraged at them. They would be suicide politically. What-icidal. New York Times. American military and intelligence officials have detected signs that Iran-backed militias are preparing to attack U.S. bases in Iraq and possibly Syria, an official tells the New York Times. Oh, really? Fear-mongering, I believe. Where's my, what happened to my Trump zoo? Let me get that back. Holy cow. Somebody, there, come here. Put that back up. Here. I got that from Wall Street. Wall Street, what is that? Now it doesn't want to enlarge for me. Wall Street Mave. I might do it. I might not do it. I might have done it already. Nobody knows. I like that one. So anyway, let's see. What's this one? Dan Scavino, the Joint Chief of Staff, General Dan Kane, outlines, Operation Midnight Hammer from the Pentagon this morning. You don't get better than General Kane. We know him from Donald Trump told us all about Raising Kane. He's the best of the best and the real deal. God bless our United States military, the greatest in the world. And I don't know how many times or if you saw it or didn't see it, but for posterity's sake, let's see if I got that video. I will play the video. The debriefing by the now famous, infamous Raising Kane, who helped Donald Trump obliterate ISIS in a matter of weeks instead of years.
Of bombers launched from the continental United States. As part of a plan to maintain tactical surprise, part of the package proceeded to the west and into the Pacific as a decoy, a deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders here in Washington and in Tampa. The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings. Once over land, the B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else in the world. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, and just prior to the strike package entering Iran, a U.S. submarine in the Central Command Area of Responsibility launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at Esfahan. As the Operation Midnight Hammer strike package entered Iranian airspace, the U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys, as the 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front, high altitude and high speed, sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile threats. The strike package was supported by U.S. Strategic Command, U.S. Transportation Command, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Space Command, U.S. Space Force, and U.S. European Command. As the strike package approached Fordo and Natanz, the U.S. protection package employed high-speed suppression weapons to ensure safe passage of the strike package, with fighter assets employing preemptive suppressing fires against any potential Iranian surface-to-air threats. We are currently unaware of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on the way in. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordo. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Esfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise throughout the operation. Following weapons release, the Midnight Hammer strike package exited Iranian airspace and the package began its return home. We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out. Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us. Throughout the mission, we retained the element of surprise.
The package got out safely. It's funny, I had a friend that has a car breakdown, and I swear to you, as sure as I'm sitting here, I called a buddy of mine up who took him to the garage to pick up his car, and this was about 3 o'clock Washington time. I said, did you deliver the package safely? He said, yeah. Yeah, I got him there. And then next thing you know, they're talking about a package. That's old-timey talk. The package. Did you deliver the package? So anyway, folks, let's see. Yeah, I don't know about Soros. I heard that too. Justin's here. Let's see. Andrew's here. I've heard that too about Soros. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he got away with it. And you know, at the end of days, nobody's getting away with nothing. Okay? So anyway, folks, here is a sign of the times with Whoopi Goldberg. I guess, they're falling apart. They're falling apart. The Democrat Party, the media, these so-called comedians, they can't keep bashing Trump. It's causing them to lose ratings. And some of them I really believe are waking up. Is that a Klingon? I don't know. But anyway, folks, I'm going to play this as a short clip. I hope you enjoy it. Don't even remember what he was saying about it. But at least Bill Maher's playing along, if not really waking up. But anyway, I want to thank you all for spending your precious time with me once again. And I will be going live tomorrow. Keep your head on a swivel. There was a you-know-what-aside bombing in Syria, a Christian church. You never know when people are going to... that's why I get on a tangent with these politicians like Bernie Sanders inciting people. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoy this clip. I should be going live tomorrow. So you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man. Over and out.
My district in the great state of Texas is actually a white majority district that President Trump would have won by 25 points. As I said, I'm a direct descendant of a slave. My great-great-grandfather was born on a Rosedown plantation. I am literally being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. That's the progress because, like, a lot of white people had to vote for me. A lot.
So wait,
I don't even ever want to hear Whoopi Goldberg's conversation about how it's worse to be black in America right now. That's a bit far. And my father, who's 75 years old, he was a man that was in the French quarters that had to go get a sandwich to the back door of the building. And his son is now a United States congressman in a white majority district in Texas as a Republican. That is America. That's America. So let's celebrate that.